made some just suggestions about relocating the garage a little bit closer to the dwelling. Okay. We talked about the second driveway access. She didn't express any concerns when we were out on site with any of it. So Mr. Rupke said, the reason we're doing this, and I said we're doing this because they want to install the second driveway. She didn't express any concerns. So today I get this letter from the St. Clair Region Conservation Authority expressing concerns. I was a little distraught this morning, I have to be honest with you. And I will just address some of their concerns. What they're saying is they have no concerns from a natural hazard perspective. So from a dynamic beach perspective, they don't have any concerns. Despite the fact that about 7 meters of the dwelling are in their regulated area. Not in the dynamic beach, but in the area under their regulation. Where their concerns lie is twofold. They indicate in their opinion that this lot is located within a significant forest, significant wood lot. Okay. They also identify that there is an ANSI across the road. Two things I think we probably, one, we know there's ANSIs in Ipperwash, right? Ipperwash is a lot of it like an ANSI, as is Port Franks, same kind of environment. But we have existing development on the lake side of East Parkway Drive. We have houses all the way along. The wood lot, the significant wood lot there has been compromised by many driveways, many clearings. I don't agree that it's a significant wood lot. It's not identified where OP is a significant wood lot on that north side of East Parkway Drive. That's not to say we shouldn't try and preserve as many trees in that location as we can in order to keep the sand in place, in order to keep the tree cover, because it's healthy for our environment. But it isn't a significant wood lot. So we have tried to have the Conservation Authority out and have them work with us to preserve as many trees as possible. With respect to the ANSI, yes, there's an ANSI there. She indicates it's right across the street. Well, M&R owns lands just a couple lots down to the west or east of this property. They also own the lands on the other side of the street. Yes, there's an ANSI in this general area. The specific boundaries of the ANSI are questionable, still in my mind. The only reason the lands, and I should pull up the OP, but the environmental protection designation comes up around the M&R lands and goes back down in behind the rest of the residential lands across from the Rupke lands that are designated residential. Okay, the only reason that designation goes up there is because those lands were owned by M&R. All of their lands are either open space or environmental protection. So I think we need to weigh that in our decision making here. This lot's developed. It has a dwelling on it. So do the lots on either side, and so does the lot across the street. Okay, so I think the impacts of an accessory building pushed back 40 meters from the front lot line are negligible at best. So I'm suggesting to council that we approve this application with the conditions that I've suggested are appropriate here, and continue on with.
Okay. Thank you. Is the applicant here, or anyone representing the applicant wish to speak to the report?
I'm here, but she has spoken very eloquently, and I urge you to. We have gone through many hoops with the Conservation Authority, and we have tried to comply at every stage. And as your planner has said, we had the Conservation Authority out, and we said this is where the driveway is going to go, and this is where the clearing in front of the garage is going to go, and we pushed it back towards the lake to minimize the tree impact, and we all agreed that we would then get on with putting the driveway in, and that's what we did. So the driveway's in, the whole area is cleared where this structure is going to go. So we're ready to build.
Any member of the public meeting for planning process? Stand and Mr. Sharon.
I have a couple of questions that arise. One of them is, out of the earlier presentation to council, is concerned about nitrogen and phosphate loading. We're going to require another septic tank, I would assume, for this property.
It's going to be, the health unit will look at the requirement for that. That's one of the recommendations.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that that goes contrary to what was stated earlier, but that's okay. The second question is, has you got M&R clearance on this property? Because you require that now. Because M&R put a hold on all the properties. And I asked you to look into that before.
I don't know this, the five strike scheme, yes, but I don't know
Plus
whether
the
there's a
two-
hold,
plus
whether
the
there's a hold on
two-stage.
all of these properties because of that?
Well, they say you've got to get permission to build. Don't shake your head, no, that's what the letter says.
Okay, any other
No, hang on a second.
questions, yes?
You're not answering the question. Are you gonna get clearance? Because it says you must get clearance for any addition, any building, taking down a shed, erecting a shed. So you have a liability issue.
I'm sure the application will comply with the laws that are there in place. Any other questions, any member of the public? Questions of council? Councilor Russell?
Through you to Jerry. Jerry, I noticed with correspondence we have David Reed and Catherine Reed I got. They have concerns about the privacy of their property, and then Harold, I think it's Meyer, and he's objection to the house. Did you discuss with your neighbors, because obviously you went to the committee of adjustment a while ago?
Yes.
So
The,
that would have been an application for a large building at that point, because there were variances involved with that. So did you have discussions with your neighbors earlier?
Yes, yes. And the Reeds were there twice last year. And so at both occasions, I spoke to him about at what stage we were at that time. We weren't at this stage. M&R hadn't come in and said, well, push it back and put the house on top. We were still looking at converting the existing garage and just putting the garage that we had got through with the minor variance in. So that I discussed with him, because that's the stage we were at the last time I saw him.
Okay, follow up?
So further to that, Jerry, then can we go back then to the committee of adjustment, because I was doing some notes on this. Committee of adjustment decision was based on a garage, but not to be thought of as another dwelling at that point in time, am I correct?
Yes.
So, so really, Ministry of Natural Resources or the St. Clair are really kind of over there for right now, because in fact, this has been an ongoing saga, right? So, at any point, did you think of having a granny flat, a temporary, for the provisions you're talking about? Because obviously, you went to the Committee of Adjustment, which was before this zoning application. You asked the Committee of Adjustment to have variance to build a larger garage, if we want to use that term, accessory building, right? And at that point, there was no unit on it, correct? And then, did I get that right?
That's right.
Committee of Adjustment. So you weren't thinking of putting another residential unit on the lot?
No, right from the start,
That's what.
there was an existing garage that had a artist loft on top of it. And it was about 8 feet away from the house. In the original planning and the drawings and the building permit that was given, it was to be attached to the existing house. So it was an attached garage. So being an attached garage, we could have converted it with acceptable provisions. We could have converted it to a living area. And so we had two simultaneous applications going on. One for the minor variance, because obviously on the lakefront you can't put a garage in the backyard, it's now down on the beach. So you have to put it in the front yard. So we had that one going on because we were converting the existing garage into living quarters. And so these were going on simultaneously. We got the minor variance approved, and then subsequent to that, the Conservation Authority said, no, definitely you can't convert that existing garage to residential area because it's in the dynamic beach area. It isn't itself in the dynamic beach, but part of the structure is in the dynamic beach. So we said, okay, what are our options? And we met with the Conservation Authority and with the Lambton Shores planner, and the Conservation Authority said, well, put the housing unit on top of the garage you've got approved. And then I went to Patty, and Patty said, no, you can't do that because you can't have a second detached dwelling until we found out about what the province had done and required that a second dwelling be allowed.